¡Que empieza, que empieza! ¡Ah! Un segundo, voy a quitar cosas de la pantalla para que se vea mejor. ¡Ah! Que empieza. ¡Ah! 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 Son gemidos de tener prisa. Basta. Cállense. Hola, ¿te has vuelto a cambiar el color? Basta ya de cambios de color, tío, que no me entero. Dios. Yo estoy como... ¿Qué pasaba? ¿Qué le pasa a la cámara? Un segundo. Ahora. Ahora repiten el tráiler del E3, ¿sabes? Ponen exactamente el mismo... Gracias por venir. Muerto espacio, claro, tío. No te pierdas lo del Dead Space, por favor, afeítate luego. Joder, prioridades. Hello, Peter. Hey.
Hi everyone, my name is Philippe Ducharme. I'm senior producer on Dead Space. With me here today is Ramán Campos Oguera, the creative director on the project. Hello everyone.
Cállate, te tiene que venir.
All right, let's get started.
Ya está, ya está.
So what we're about to do today is a bit unorthodox for us at EA. We're going to give you, with this live stream, a first look at some very early, and I'll say very, very early footage. Very.
Vale, dicen que lo que van a enseñar es muy early, ¿eh? Dice que quieren ser abiertos con la comunicación y tal. De hecho, esto EA no lo hace nunca. No es un gameplay reveal ni nada, sino que, bueno, van a ir enseñando el juego. Muy early. Hay alguien más calvo que yo, es verdad. Dios.
And there's two reasons why we want to do that. First, at Motives, one thing that really is important for us is that we want to create a game that excites players. And I think that SAR Squadrons was actually a great example of this.
Vale, bueno, dice que en Motive lo que quieren hacer es crear juegos que motiven a los jugadores y tal. Lo típico.
And it's a little bit what we want to do for Dead Space.
Dice que lo que quieren hacer es estar seguros de que están como rindiendo honor al legado de Dead Space y que desde el principio pues quieren enseñar el juego y tal, lo que tengan hecho. Y supongo que también les servirá para ver feedback y tal.
We got in contact during the conception phase with the community council that we've created, some hardcore Dead Space fans that remain active even after years of inactivity for the Dead Space franchise.
Que han estado en contacto con fans y tal.
We've established a relationship where we gave them first look at
que les enseñaron ciertas cosas.
And in exchange, we asked them brutal feedback, like, what are we making? Is it good? Is it
y les pidieron feedback, vaya, básicamente. Y esto al final también les servirá a ellos también. Tienen dos miembros de la comunidad que no sé muy bien cómo están. O sea, no sé cómo los eligieron ni nada. No sé por qué esta peña está aquí, pero bueno.
I'm Khalif Adams, one of the hosts, or the host of the Spawn on Me podcast. I'm super excited to be here. I'm a huge Dead Space fan.
No tengo ni puta idea de quiénes son, básicamente, pero bueno.
For a very long time, and I get to rock with one of my favorite content creators on the planet, Jackie. Let the folks at home know a little bit more about you.
Hello, everyone. My name name is Jackie Butler. I'm a cardiac nurse extern, soon to be RN, as well as a streamer and content creator here on Twitch.
¿Ha dicho que es enfermera y streamer? Lo he entendido bien, ¿no?
There's very few games that I wish I could experience for the first time again. One of those is obviously Dead Space. So I'm literally
Dice, bueno, que hay pocos juegos que le gustarían experimentar desde, o sea, por primera vez otra vez, y uno de ellos es Dead Space.
Let's get started.
Hombre, no.
So we're gonna dive right in with the classic dark and claustrophobic headbanger hallway. Shown here on the screen is what Dead Space looked like in 2008.
Este es el primer Dead Space, el original, vaya.
Let's see the design process and how it looks now. Roman and Phil, can you show us more?
Yeah, so actually, one of the first things that we did was we went back to the legacy assets for the game. So we wanted to recreate with the proxies, the full ship, the Ishimura, to recreate it. And then our art team went in and started and added level of details to the environment.
Vale, primero diseñaron como la nave, o sea, hicieron la nave entera y luego pues se pusieron a trabajar en cosas más detalladas y tal. Un remaster no es una historia nueva, no, es un remake del primero. O sea, la historia es la misma. Igual hay algún pequeño cambio o una cosa así, o alguna sección nueva o sección que no está o lo que sea. Pero es el primer juego. Pero, o sea, como hicieron con el Resident Evil 2. Un remake igual.
So what type of engine did you guys use to create this? And what graphics are you aiming for?
So, great question, Jackie. We're using Frostbite as our dev engine, and we're
¿Qué dices, Jay? No entiendo nada de lo que dices, tío. Te has fumado 4 porros, tío.
And our focus is on lighting, VFX, and just overall audio experience to make sure that we would deliver the right atmosphere, something that was key in the original game.
Yeah, so I know we have a real live functional build currently. Can you bring that up?
Early Pre-Production Development. Joder. O sea, esto es early. O sea, es una build de preproducción. Y early encima. O sea, queda de trabajo por hacer a nivel gráfico. Vaya, pero ya se ve bien. O sea, no se ve mal. Para 2025. 2025 no creo, pero no lo esperemos dentro de poco.
A new one, it's still work in progress. It's going to be improved a lot, but it gives a first taste at Isaac Clarke in the remake. Look, here we are.
Wow.
I mean, the lighting.
Tiene las mismas. Yo además el 1, joder, lo habéis visto, me lo he pasado hace nada. Tiene las mismas vibras que el 1. Pero se ve mejor. A ver, la textura de la ropa, por ejemplo, del traje y tal. Se nota que no, pero quiero decir, es que es de preproducción esto. Esto es lo que le enseñas a los que tienen la pasta para decirles, hey, ¿esto lo hacemos o no? Y te dicen sí o no, básicamente. Se notan las animaciones, no están bien, tal, pero es normal, tío. Es de preproducción esto. Pero cosa, de los GTA no va a haber remake, ¿eh? Lo de los GTA es el remaster ese. No nos emocionemos. Remaster con el Unreal, ya, pero que no es un remake. Habrá cambios en el gameplay también, acaban de decir, que esto ya se sabía, ya lo habían dicho. O sea, no será tan tosco, porque este juego es del 2008, creo.
Yeah, because, you know, we have been looking at Reddit, we've been looking online, and there has been some people in the community noting that, you know, the game already stood the test of time. This is still considered to be, quote unquote, a perfect game.
Sí, está lo que dice que el juego como que aguanta bastante bien el paso del tiempo, y es verdad. Yo me lo he pasado hace poco, el 1 y el 2, y aguantan de puta madre, tío. En primera persona, buah, no. A mí no me gustaría. Al final, lo guapo es ver a Isaac y ver lo de la espalda y tal, ¿sabes? Es como un sello de distinción de Dead Space. O sea, si lo pusieran en primera persona, que no lo van a poner en primera persona, sería una cagada muy grande.
Obviously graphics, which is like the easiest way to see how it changed, but also as far as systems.
Not easiest necessarily to make.
Well, no, not easiest to make. No, that's for sure. But as far as systems, as far as just opportunities for gameplay and how to leverage it, that's something that we think that, given the evolution that Dead Space had within its own franchise with Dead Space 2 and Dead Space 3,
va a ser el final boss.
Also how the franchise, how just the game industry evolved outside Dead Space, there's opportunities for us to make a better, a more complete experience, let's say.
Claro que, teniendo en cuenta cómo ha evolucionado la industria fuera de Dead Space, digamos, en todos los ámbitos, pues que les da lugar a hacer una experiencia como más completa. Hostia, se le ha parado el negro. Este ya está.
We might keep some surprise for later. Yes.
So, can you please now show the stack comparison of the original 2008?
Hay cambio, tío. Sí, se nota, joder. Me jodas.
Yeah, that's a massive difference. You know, you remember.
O sea, ya solo con la iluminación tienen muchísimo ganado.
It's wow, big difference, big difference.
No, eso se puede decir.
It was only 13 years ago, but it seems like we've gone leaps and bounds.
Se nota un montón la diferencia, tío. Sí. Ya solo con iluminación. Le metes iluminación y texturas y tal, y hay una diferencia bárbara, tío.
What are your current goals for the remake exactly? How are you going to honor the legacy of Dead Space? Because that is huge shoes to fill. Bar is set high.
It is definitely, and like the team is actually extremely passionate.
Yeah, con ray tracing, claro.
We're referencing
Seguro.
a lot to the original game, having a lot of looks at it, and like I said, by making it relevant, we're looking at different games and what they did.
Dice que están mirando diferentes juegos y ver qué han hecho. Resident Evil 2, vaya. Yo creo que se fijan sobre todo en ese juego. O sea, sin Resident Evil 2 Remake, este juego no existe. Te lo digo ya.
And how can that create an experience where the players even more immersed within the game than was previously the case?
And it's really one of the big objectives.
Estoy creciendo al perro porque me estaba lamiendo la mano, en plan, hazme caso.
From even before the start screen till the end of the game, the rolling credits, to never have any break of experience, to have that full and uninterrupted sequence shot. And so that, of course, has a lot of impact on what we're building. And just starting with how the Ishimura and the structure of the game is built, because we don't want any cut. So there should be no loading. How the full ship should be walkable from end to end seamlessly.
Efectivamente, esto también, lo que acaban de decir, también lo habían dicho, que será un poco como God of War. Que no habrá pantallas de carga ni nada, sino que será todo un mismo... una misma toma, digamos.
Could we have players wanting to take the controller and play for 12 hours straight, never putting them down, not even going to the bathroom, just because they were so immersed within the game?
Eso puede estar bien, porque bueno, realmente en el 1 tampoco había tantas pantallas de carga. O sea, las cinemáticas y poco más. Es cuando... o cuando morías también.
So of course, horror it's one of the main pillar of Dead Space, and it's about a lot of elements in Dead Space. So of course, the story it's about that. It's that iconic survival horror story. You're alone, trapped on that hulking spaceship. But the main element for us was to get the ambience right, and so that's why we started with elements like, for example, the BENQ corridor or the workshop that you can see in the teaser, is to make sure that we capture the ambience. it's about more than just the gore or the monsters or the story or the character. It's really about the Ishimura and how isolated and stressed you feel when you're inside that chip. And so
parece que se han centrado, a ver, se han centrado en todo obviamente, pero que se han centrado mucho, por lo que dice, en darle como una buena ambientación a la nave.
So good, like it was a masterclass in pacing the original Dead Space, to keep you on the edge of your seat all the time. And that's actually something that we challenged the team early on. Like, how can we make sure that we don't break that recipe, that we don't break the right amount of nothing happening that's going to actually increase the level of tension when you're playing. And so far, the team's been taking that challenge and doing an amazing job at it. And it's always something that's at the back of our head in every review that we're doing, and they're delivering amazing work on it.
It's one of the things, it's how can we keep players constantly on their toes, and we might have some surprise coming on that, and on how much you can be surprised even when you're doing something you wrote.
Hay sorpresitas, por lo que están diciendo. Se están guardando, obviamente se están guardando cosas.
Isn't that what we are really here for? When we say cut off their limbs, you know, we want you to experience every gory detail of dismembering iconic necromorphs. Now we will showcase our dismemberment gym.
Ojo,
The
a
dev
ver.
team has created a peeling system that will be implemented into combat.
Qué guapo esto,
Would you
tío.
mind telling us more about the original system versus the new system and what peeling
Qué
actually
guapo
means?
esto.
I think actually something that's very important, as you can see with the feed. Like,
Cómo se hacen los juegos y los niveles y tal. Esto mola mucho, tío.
And it's intentional that we
Wow.
showcase this in a gym.
Wow.
Because we're
Se ve como le has quitado un poco de...
visually we're not at the right level of quality where we want to achieve, but we want to showcase functionality.
Mira, mira, cómo se le cae un poco de carne,
What is the
hasta que le
system
quitas
that
el
we have in
miembro.
mind for peeling, like you
Eso
said?
está muy guay, tío.
So obviously, same thing.
Qué guapo
It's
esto.
really early build. It's a gym. Everything that you see is work in progress.
Me gusta mucho ver estas
Post
cosas, tío.
implementation, a lot of VFX are missing. A lot of those modernization are not.
Ya, dice que faltan muchas cosas, O sea, a nivel de texturas, de efectos y cosas así, que es normal. Porque están donde están. Mira, el HUD es muy parecido, que puede cambiar también. Mira los puntitos, cómo cambian y tal, según lo que vas tocando. O sea, donde apuntas, digamos.
One of the thing we wanted to improve about that experience is when you're using a weapon that is not a carving weapon, like something not like the plasma cutter. Plasma cutter is really fun to use. You can just shoot at anything, and really you have that instant feedback of the limb getting cut, etc. But when you had a different weapon, knowing how much damage you were dealing to the enemy, how was he reacting, etc., it was not necessarily as visceral and as clear as the original. And so that's
Buah, es que se le van quitando partes del cuerpo literal, dependiendo de dónde dispares. Eso es la hostia, Eso está muy guay. Que lo han hecho otros juegos y tal, digo. Pero que está muy bien verlo en el Dead Space, tío. No. ¿Ves que primero, o sea, como que le quita la carne y se ve el hueso? Se le van viendo las costillas ahora, por ejemplo. Se desmembraba, pero yo me refiero a que le arrancas literalmente la carne y se le ven los huesos. Eso no estaba. El desmembramiento sí. Pero claro, tecnológicamente antes no se podía hacer esto de quitar la carne, digamos. No se podía. Pues la hostia, esto mola mucho, tío. Mira, ahora es que está sin carne prácticamente. O sea, esto puede ser un festival de... Un festival de carne cuando se junten unos cuantos. Qué guapo.
Again, for the moment, it's really early. For the moment, we're only showcasing it on the naked slasher, so you only see it with the
Dejando viendo esto.
Of course, later it's going to support like the claw, body armor, different layers, weak points, etc. But it also improved one of the core of shooting in Dead Space, which is around the precision, and not only the precision of
la precisión también.
the precision of the plasma cutter. And so if I was to shoot, let's say, on that leg, then
Pum.
if I'm shooting here, I'm not going to cut the leg.
Claro, ahí está la cosa. Dice que si, por ejemplo, si disparas arriba primero y luego disparas abajo, en el primero sí que le cortabas la pierna porque tenía como la misma hitbox prácticamente. Pero que aquí que tienes que ser preciso, vaya. O sea, que como literalmente le cortas una parte de la pierna, luego tienes que volver a disparar en el mismo sitio para acabar de cortarle la pierna, porque si no... El tema de los impactos de las armas, por lo visto, se lo están currando un montón. Eso mola. Hay lanzallamas, sí. Hay lanzallamas. Adelante en el juego, de hecho. O sea, avanzado, más o menos. Creo que en el 1 había, vaya. Es que como tengo más fresco el 2... Como tengo fresco el 2, igual me lío, pero diría que en el 1 hay. Ya con el lanzallamas, tío, con este sistema puede estar muy guapo.
Sometimes there's weird moments like that in the team where you do a meeting about dismemberment and blood and gore and
Dice que a veces que se reúnen para hacer una... O sea, que el tema de la reunión es hablar de desmembramientos y gore y cosas así. Tiene que estar guay, la verdad.
So Roman, on what level can we expect the detail of filleting necromorphs, essentially? How detailed are we talking here?
Wow.
In terms of the body destruction, the peeling, it's going to be really super detailed, as we can see on that video. So that's the first steps of that technology, if the video is playing, which is not, I think, at the moment. Yes, here we go. You can see that it's really super precise. It's exactly where you're aiming, where you're shooting. It's exactly respecting the shape of the projectile at the enemy. If it was fire, you would see it going through the
Qué guapo esto, tío.
and burning the flesh.
Qué guapo. Chao, Scarlett, tío. Nos vemos.
That body destruction system is going to be super precise. In terms of pure dismemberment, and where you're able to cut the necromorph's limbs, here where we want to improve it, because we feel like characters like the slasher, for example, it was already really deep in terms of gameplay. Like there are different behavior based on whether you were cutting the legs or the head, where they go berserk, etc. So
Qué guapo, tío.
It's for enemies like slasher, it's not necessarily to improve or give more precision.
A mí es que me flipan estas cosas, ¿eh?
It's more to try to extend that fun and that depth to other enemies that tend to be a bit lighter in terms of dismemberment and behavior, like for example the Infector or the Brute. Like I can't wait to show you when you get behind the Brute and you start to peel his back and dig for weak points.
Oh, I can't wait.
That's the type of improvement we're going for.
Get to the weak points.
Yeah, I love the peeling of the different layers of skin down to the organs and bones, especially coming from a medical background. It's just insane to see.
Y esto nos están enseñando solo un enemigo. O sea, con enemigos más grandes y tal, esto es para verlo, tío.
One thing that you might have noticed quickly in the prototype, and that's something we want to experience a bit more, we want to dig a bit more, it's when you actually cut a limb, but there's still a layer of flesh. We don't necessarily always want the limb to go out and fly away, and sometimes we keep it attached.
Vale, dice que a veces cuando desmiembras un brazo, por ejemplo, que no siempre se irá volando el brazo, sino que a veces se queda como colgando, digamos, de un hilillo. Pero que claro, como está desmembrada, digamos, porque no la puede usar, pero con la telequinesis la puedes pillar igual, el brazo.
The power and weapon synergy loop, that's also something we want to try to improve in the Dead Space remake.
Yeah. By bringing it back, like it gives you an option to. We actually took back the impalement from Dead Space 2, so it gives you an option to actually impale your enemies that's right in front of you and using it as a projectile against your enemies. So it gives you more creative opportunities to kill your enemies, really.
So that means that we're going to continue to have cut off your limbs, and we're going to have dangle your limbs too. Be the thing that people are going to start screaming in the chat pretty soon. One of the other, you talked about, how some of these pieces of tech are adding to the improvements of of what this remake is going to wind up being. I'd love to hear you kind of talk a little bit more about, some other improvements that we've seen, not only in scale in terms of, rooms that we've seen before. We saw the headbanger room a second ago, but I want to dig into, and let's pull up the 0G therapy room, which I think also showcases this kind of next layer of where you're thinking about going from. And
la habitación esta, ya me acuerdo, tío.
Just talk a little bit about, where you're kind of seeing this move. We see Isaac kind of in the space right now, floating around the space.
Gravedad cero.
Probably going to show off some of his thrusters and stuff in a minute.
Buah, espero que el tema de aterrizar y tal lo hayan cambiado, ¿eh?
You're thinking about in terms of improvements in this layer too.
So, for us, really, going back to the original Dead Space, it was something that we felt. So again,
mira, de hecho,
we felt
el cuadro este no tiene ni texturas, es un cuadro azul ahí.
In terms of experience and immersion, it's the 0G. And how you would move around in 0G. And that's something that was really good and improving the experience in Dead Space 2 and 3 that we felt was really missing in the original Dead Space. And so
de hecho,
that's why
están hablando de lo que decía yo, básicamente.
That mechanic of flying around when you're in 0G and with much more 360-degree freedom. And now you can play Dead Space and really feel you're in space during those moments. And so also that's a
ahora aterrizar va a ser como en el 2, por ejemplo, ¿verdad?
To improve a bit on, like for example, now you can interact as you fly around. You can go into
es verdad, ahora se puede interactuar mientras vuelas, tío. Esto antes no se podía.
It allows us to revisit some of the old contents and create new ways to navigate, new paths, like here in the
antes no se podía, tío. Tenías que aterrizar, abrir la puerta, tal.
Where you came from, and here it allows us to create new.
Es más como el Prey, digamos, o como el Dead Space 2 mismo. Bueno, de hecho, creo que abrir puertas en gravedad cero no se podía tampoco en el 2. Creo recordar que no. En el 3 no lo sé porque no lo he jugado.
So it's really delivering on the fantasy of being in space, making sure that we're
mucho mejor, tío, mucho mejor.
Use that and revisiting all the places in the game in the original where there was 0G, which was the Superman jump back in Dead Space 1.
Está jugando, se escuchan las teclas de que está jugando, tío. No, de hecho acaba de soltar el mando.
And so far, there's been very good ideas like this one about how can we retraverse through the same environment and provide something new for the players. So we're definitely on the lookout for these opportunities when we revisit each of these.
De esta sala me acuerdo perfectamente, tío.
Yeah, for me in the original game, that 0G jump was very disorienting. I don't know if anyone else agrees with this, but
el salto este era una mierda. O sea, la cámara se te iba a Cuenca y tal. Es de lo que creo que es de lo único que me quejé cuando lo volví a jugar, tío. De lo único que me quejé. De lo de la puta cámara cuando estabas en gravedad cero. O sea que si lo han solucionado ya, perfecto, tío. Perfectísimo.
But we didn't see any comments on the subreddit or online about the thrusters on Isaac. There was nothing. Where was that? Look alive, chat. But yeah.
But no, it's really interesting because then also, like I was mentioning, it allows us to revisit to the 0G areas, potentially create new ones.
Claro, dice que esto también les ayuda a, por ejemplo, poder crear algún área o cambiar algún área en gravedad cero, lo cual lo pondrán en el Game Pass. De salida supongo que no, a no ser que Microsoft compre EA. De salida no, pero luego como en el Game Pass sí que están los juegos estos del EA Play, cuando esté en el EA Play, pues sí.
And that is the topic of microtransactions.
La demo, hostia, molaría mucho una demo, tío. Que dijeran, tenéis una demo ahora en Steam. Buah. Una demo muy early, pero al menos para poder jugar, tío. Molaría un montón.
So very clear, no microtransaction, none at all. No.
No microtransacciones, que también lo habían dicho, pero bueno, no sé en qué sentido iban a poner microtransacciones en un Dead Space, pero bueno, yo qué sé.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I mean, that's good to hear. I think everybody in the chat and everybody in the community.
On the record.
It's on the record now.
I hope the crowd is going wild. That's what we want to hear, okay?
That's 2 back of the box quotes that we've gotten for the stream already. That's easy. Well done. We've talked a lot about, the improvements, things you kind of want to transition, ways you want to improve, not only the gameplay, but all the systems around it. But I think one of the things we haven't gotten a chance to talk about is how do you want to enrich the storytelling in this game as well? There's lots of different aspects to that, and I'd love to hear more thoughts about how you're trying to
storytelling.
expand that as well.
A ver, mucha cosa no tendría. A ver, igual tendría que cambiar, yo que sé, algún personaje o algo así, ¿no? O el guión un poquito para mejorarlo, pero poca cosa.
First, we are not gonna change the foundation of the story.
Claro, no cambiarán las bases de la historia, digamos. Porque la historia es la historia, vaya.
A great sci-fi horror story. It's really about being Isaac and going into that hulking spaceship and feeling alone and isolated as you try to survive all those space zombies and stuff, and trying to find Nicole, trying to solve that mystery about the marker, etc. All of those core themes of the originals, those are elements that not only we really want to continue to have in the game, but that we want to build on top of. The things that we want to enrich in terms of story or narrative, it's really about the bigger universe of Dead Space. We want to have more ties with what came after, whether it's the books, whether it's the anime, whether it's Dead Space 2. We want to put back the original in a more, in a better way, if I can say, inside that broader universe. And yes, sometimes it can be through really soul message or the audio links or message in the environments.
Igual, o sea, que por lo visto como que van a meter como más lore a través de texto y cosas de audio y tal, que ya había en el 1, pero bueno, igual, yo qué sé, igual serán como más informativos, más que otra cosa.
One thing for me that's really important in Dead Space is, as Isaac in the story, you're looking for Nicole, but actually in game, not so much, as we can say. So that's something we want to improve. We want to give you the means to actually look for her, and more than look for her, learn what happened to her during the outbreak. That's one of the elements that
vale, o sea que también van a cambiar el tema de ir tras la secta esta y tal, que podremos saber a ver qué pasó en la Tierra o qué pasa con estos, que podremos investigar, porque, o sea, durante el juego básicamente te vas cargando monstruos y poco más, pero que aquí habrá como más, sí, más lore. No sé, no acaban de ser muy claros, por eso no lo acabo de entender muy bien, a ver qué quieren decir, pero bueno, supongo que lo acabaremos sabiendo, obviamente. Habrá igual pues más lore, más investigación, más cosas así. Pero siempre se le para a este hombre, tío.
Yeah, I definitely had same questions on like my first playthrough and the many other times. It's like, what about the marker? What exactly did happen to Senior Medical Officer Nicole Brennan?
Que sí, que sí.
I just want more of a cohesive, make us whole narrative type situation, which I'm really hoping that you guys deliver on this future game.
You will be one of the first to know, I think.
Oh, man, you know what I'm saying? Touché.
Council privileges. One of the other and kind of big questions that a lot of folks in the community have been wondering about, have been thinking about, and hopefully you'll be able to give us an answer on this one is, will Isaac be voiced in this game?
Isaac tendrá, es verdad.
Excuse me, I have something to say.
Oh, what?
Excuse me?
Hey.
I have something to say.
Isaac va a hablar en este juego.
And it's been a long time coming. Hi, I'm Gunnar Wright, and I'm excited to announce that I'm reprising my role as
Y es
Isaac
el...
Clarke for the remake of Dead Space 4.
Es el de la voz original, qué
I
guapo,
want to
tío.
thank all of you for allowing me to give Isaac a voice.
Qué guapo.
I can't wait to suit up, throw that rig on, and do my best to try to keep Isaac alive.
En el 1 no hablaba,
I'm feeling some of you might try to keep me from doing that. In the words of Isaac Clarke, stick around. I'm full of bad ideas.
That's what I'm talking about. That's amazing.
¿De dónde sale esto? De Trombi y Escrúpulo. ¿Qué es esto?
He has no choice, okay?
He has no choice. We made him do it.
Qué guapo, qué guapo. Me gusta que vaya a hablar en el primer juego porque no hablaba, tío. Hablaba en el 2. Y en el 3 no lo sé.
Well, actually, it
Supongo.
was one of the first things that we discussed
Ah, vale,
with the
luego lo
council
miro.
at the very beginning. Like, it was one of those open questions that we had. The initial Dead Space, there was obviously no voice for Isaac, but that was changed for Dead Space 2, Dead Space 3. Gunnar played an amazing part in this and delivered a great performance to create that character. And so, for us, it was really a question like, should we voice him for this remake or not?
Sí, hombre, sí, tiene que hablar en el 1.
Like, we engage in that
Claro que sí.
conversation with all the folks on the council to try to see what, from your perspective, what was your opinion on this key topic? And what was clear was that, well, if he's back, it has to be Isaac. It has to be Gunnar. Isaac is Gunnar. And so, like, we started to have these discussions with casting, and it became very, very clear rapidly that for us...
Y espero que en castellano tenga la misma voz también, porque el doblador era muy bueno.
So first, as a fan of Dead Space, before even being on that project, it was, yeah, Gunnar is Isaac. And revisiting Dead Space 1, amazing game, and revisiting Isaac, for me, we needed Isaac to be in Dead Space 1. And so that's why for me it was really important, and I was so happy to be able to have him.
Está guay, está guay. Está guay que le vayan a meter. Además, así le da más personalidad a Isaac, tío. Que si no hablan todo el puto juego.
There is something that is key in the Dead Space theme and ambience. It's the isolation. You're alone. You're alone on that spaceship. You're alone facing those enemies. It's really that feeling of being isolated and alone. And sometimes hearing a voice, it fights against that. Like,
¿Acaban de enseñar
you're going to the basement, it's dark, and you're
algo
looking for
aposta
the
o ha sido cosa
light,
mía?
and you talk to yourself.
En plan, ha sido un frame, ha sido un segundo.
Especially when you're alone in the dark.
Igual se les ha colado,
And
¿eh?
so that's something we didn't want it to break in Dead Space. And so Isaac is only going to talk. One of the rules that we have is that Isaac is only going to talk when he's being talked to. He is going to
Vale,
respond,
Isaac solo va a hablar cuando le
he's
hablen.
going to engage
Vale.
with Kendra and so on. He's going to be part of those discussions.
Isaac a veces hablará en una situación donde...
When you're alone in that
Vale.
dark corridor,
Vale, vale. O sea, Isaac
he's not gonna
en
talk.
principio
He's
solo
not
hablará
gonna break that immersion. He's not gonna break that feeling
cuando
of
le hablen,
isolation.
y que hablará también en una situación en la que sería raro quedarse callado, que es lo que pasaba muchas veces en el 1, que en plan, tío, Isaac, contesta, por favor.
En
serio, otro puto bot.
More a sense of being the main character of that story, giving more sense of agency on what's going on. And so when there's a new objective, when there's a discussion about how are we going to blow that barricade, how are we going to restart the engine of the ship, we wanted Isaac to be part of that discussion. We wanted Isaac to be part of the solution. He's the expert. He's the space engineer. And so that's why also we wanted to give him a voice. We wanted to improve the character on that perspective. So here it is. Gunnar is back.
Couldn't be happier about that.
We couldn't either.
Jackie, what any more thoughts about Gunnar being back in the game?
No, I'm very excited. I mean, this is expected. The council very much told you guys that is exactly what we wanted, and I'm really glad that followed through. Everything came through. Very excited.
Yeah, I am hyped. Even though I did not get the part, it's okay, Gunnar. We will let you rock as Isaac this time around. You know, Dead Space 2 remake. I will be Isaac at some point.
Close second, Khalif. Close second.
See, this is why I love you. I appreciate. See, this is again another back of the box.
Honest.
Again, this is the reason why we do this kind of work. We're almost out of time, but I want to give you two gents a little bit of time just to share again any last thoughts you have with the
Vale,
folks
a
who
ver,
are
ya
watching
van
the chat
terminando.
and everybody else out in the land who are Dead Space fans right now.
Yeah, well, one thing, like I said at the beginning, the purpose for us to do this is to hear your feedback, hear your thoughts.
Claro, lo primero que quieren es saber el feedback y tal. En principio, yo estoy contento, tío, con lo que se ha visto. Yo estoy muy contento, tío. Si esto lo van haciendo una vez cada X meses, en plan, mira, hemos avanzado en esto, vamos a cambiar esto, tal, no sé qué, yo creo que está bien. Yo creo que puede estar muy guay. Enseñando quizá alguna parte nueva, alguna mecánica nueva, cosas así. La producción está empezando. Wow. Le quedan 3 años a esto, ¿eh? A esto le queda tiempo, tío. O sea, si la producción está empezando, le queda tiempo. 2024, una cosa así, ¿eh? 2024-2025, no me extrañaría, tío. 5 de octubre, Windows 11, sí, lo sé, lo sé.
The team's amazing.
Thank you very much, guys.
That was a really beautiful concept art you had on the screen there. It was medical. It was stunning. I can't wait for everyone to see that in the actual game shipped.
No.
This is so pretty. I want this as a desktop
No.
background.
Right?
Si lo instalo será dentro de una... O sea, cuando hayas pasado un año o una cosa así.
Yeah.
Para evitar
Jackie, we can hope.
errores, incompatibilidades y mierdas de estas.
No, you know, I had a wonderful time, and I want to thank Motive and EA, you know, for allowing Khalif and I to be a part of this wonderful community. Thank you, Roman and Phil. And, you know, also thank you all the unsung heroes, you know, on the dev team working hard to make this ship for the best possible thing, you know? So thank you so much.
Yeah, and I'll just end out and say, again, you know, Phil and Roman and the rest of the team, you all are putting in such great work to bring this game back to life in a fantastic way. I, as a huge fan, am extremely excited to dangle their limbs and do all of those things within that game. And we hope that also our friends and our compadres over in the council as well. We hope we did you proud today. Everybody at home who's watching the stream, make sure you go check out Dead Space Twitter account so you can get some more updates when they go live. And again, thank you so much for being here today. Take care and we'll see you.
Thanks a lot, everyone.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Ok, perfecto. Pues ya estaría, ¿no? Muchos corazones. Thank you, thanks, dope. Corazones, corazones. La gente está contenta, parece. GG, clap, thanks, GG, hype, hype. Guay, guay. Me alegro. Me alegro, me alegro. Vale, pues. Yo quería seguir con el Uncharted y tal, pero bueno, se me ha hecho un poco tarde y realmente iba a jugar igual hasta las 8 o una cosa así. No pensaba que esto iba a durar pues casi una hora, ha durado como 40 minutos prácticamente. Así que me voy. Mañana no hay stream por lo del... la huelga esta, digamos. Así que bueno, en principio, pues nos vemos pasado mañana, que todavía sigo aquí, ¿no? O sea, pasado mañana, ¿qué día es? Es jueves, sí. Sí. Pasado mañana estoy aquí. Vale, pues nada, lo dicho. Nos vemos... uno preguntando por el Battlefield, tío. No es aquí. Te has equivocado. Nos vemos pasado mañana. Chao, chao. Cuídense.